Hey, Belogan here. In this video, we're going to talk about 10 tips for new players. Now, these are in no specific order, just the order that they make sense to talk about. Tip number 1, check your settings. There's a lot of things that you can control in here that will affect your gameplay and make your life easier in general. So you can do things like set your bio, tell people a little about yourself. You can change your username from here. A couple other things you want to check under options. Show animations, these are fun, but the game will run a little bit faster without them. Postmaster alerts, turn these off, especially if you plan on participating in one of the event titans like a Super Titan or a Hammy, unless you want thousands and thousands of post alerts. Next, auto use cores. I would recommend using cores as soon as possible. That's going to be another tip later on. A couple other ones that are important: card patrol progress. This will show you your card rankings as you're battling, but it takes up more space on the screen. I generally leave this off. Let's talk about initial attack type. You can set this so that your first attack will be either a primary, a special, a shields versus special, a heavy, or a super ability. Usually you want this on special versus shields because your special weapon does twice the damage on shields as any other weapon per its base attack. There are times though that you want to set this to primary. For example, if you are finding when you are Titan farming that you are killing them in one hit because your special is just too strong, but you really want to kill them with that super ability, try turning this to primary. You may not kill them in one shot, and then you can use that super ability for your juicy gains. All right, let's scroll down here to tip number 2, which is leave a review. Why would you want to leave a review? Well, one of the fun things is you can enable the option to select a name color. Now, you can also get this from becoming a subscriber to the game, but just leaving a review will enable that for you. It gives you supporter status. So to get supporter status, you can leave a review on the iOS or the Android Google Play Store, and then message one of the Vanguards or the Welcome Crew, and they can add that status for you. Android apps, reviews generally show up right away. The iOS apps can take a couple days, so grab a screenshot of the review that you have left, or if you've already left it, go back into the Play Store, go back to Titan Conquest, leave a review, you can see what you wrote, grab a screenshot of that, send it to your Vanguards. They will be happy to add that for you. All right, tip number 3, use your items. You get this out of inventory. Early on in the game, these drachma orbs and these experience orbs and spheres are going to give you huge amounts of experience and drachma compared to what you're going to get from battling monsters. So your first couple levels after you've done whatever you want to do initially, you're going to get just from fighting whatever you can, one-shot killing it, and then using these items. Another question that comes up is cores. Should I use them immediately or hold on to them? The answer is you want to use them immediately. They give you a permanent 1% bonus to whichever perk they are for, and that lasts forever. So you want that gain as soon as possible. Now there is a cap on these of 1,000 per stat, and I notice I've got more than that. And I'll tell you why here in just a second. But if you have reached the cap, you can still use your cores from your inventory. You won't be able to use them individually or all, but if you do use all items, it will use them. I'm not sure if the settings auto uses them or not. I think it does once you've hit the cap as well. Now once you hit God tier, which is a many month long project, the core cap changes. It becomes 5,000 for some of these cores when you're not on the astral plane, and it becomes uncapped when you are on the astral plane. All right, next, use boosters before decoding your gear. One of the common problems people run into is they buy a couple weapons that boost their power, they're stronger than anything they're going to decode, and then they're kind of stuck with increasing the power of any armor that they're going to decode. I show this in all my playthrough videos, but you want to use an attack booster or 2, and these do stack, so if you use multiple of the same type, like a couple attack booster 2s, it will stack in duration, whereas if you use an attack booster 2 and attack booster 3, they will stack in their effect. But attack boosters, your balance booster, and your defense boosters will all increase your power. So if you want to bump up your power, grab one of these guys. I'll just show you on this hero. I'll use a simple attack booster and then come into my gear and re-equip something, and you're going to see this power bump up a little bit. So do that before you go and decode early on. Before your power hits 20,000, that power is going to be the biggest factor in what kind of gear you decode. So use those boosters, do your gear in chunks, and then decode them one at a time. All right, next is do your stories. Stories are a great way to get extra pieces of gear and other things that you may not have access to otherwise, such as the trapper rifle comes from a story. Later on, there's a couple pieces of really good gear as far as a special weapon for the Poseidon's Trident, the Helm of Darkness, and Underworld, and so forth that you get from stories. But early on, there's a couple you can do even in the Acropolis. Now, how do you know if there's a story to do? Let me just swap heroes here and come to my no battles wimp. This guy's not fighting anything. He's only decoding to get to level 99, which is very boring and takes a long time, but that's besides the point. So if I say go somewhere, you'll see there's a storybook icon here. That means that there is a story there that you have not yet completed or done. Now there's also several of these at the Acropolis. When you first come here, say explore this area. I haven't done any of them on this hero. I probably should. There's a bunch of stories here. Some of these you can do even at level 1 and then level 2 early on to get some early gear. All right, and let's see, our next tip is going to be to lock your gear. So let me come back to my main hero here. When you go into your gear, you have this option here to lock certain pieces. Some things will come locked for you when you first get them, like when you buy gear from the stores or the Vanguard Quartermaster or the weapon shop or Borgen. They will come pre-locked, but gear that you decode may not, and your starter Kratos does not. The trapper rifle, I don't recall if it does or it doesn't, but you want to make sure this is locked. If you dismantle the trapper rifle, you're kind of out of luck on getting that replaced right now. This will save you when you come and mass dismantle gear from getting rid of a piece that you really want to keep. And you're not always going to be using the same gear all the time, so you can't just rely on it being equipped and therefore not getting dismantled. For example, I've got a couple different Thunderbolts of Zeus, one for an Oracle build, one for a Slayer build. I also use my Trapper Rifle on this build sometimes. Plus I have some other ones, the Candy Cane and Event Weapon, a couple different flavors of Kratos. I hold on to those just because. Keep those locked. All right, next tip is, and you'll hear this a lot, is how do I get more experience fast? And people will tell you the Kratos farm or Titan farm. I'm just gonna say it right now. I don't recommend Kratos farming almost ever. You might get a little bit of Drachma experience faster in a short burst, but you're missing out on getting kills, getting item drops, ranking up your cards. Unless you're doing a specialty run such as Kratos only that requires you only use Kratos, I generally don't recommend doing it. But where to find Titans? If you come to Earth in the first area, down here at Gold Watch, there's 3 Titans here on Earth that spawn. There's a pretty decent one at the Grottos, and then it's kind of like every other area tends to have one. I don't have them memorized. They're kind of spread out and they're fixed on Earth. My favorite place to farm Titans is the Moon. Lots of people do it here, that's true. Trader Snare has a couple fixed Titans. The rest of them have Titans that wander though. So you come here, I've got 2 Titans here, I go somewhere else randomly. I may or may not have anything here, but a lot of these Titans can appear anywhere. So if you're trying to seed yourself for success, just come through, clear out all the Titans in every area, and then pick one area to stay in and clear out all the mobs. When they respawn, you've got a good chance to get 3, 4, 5, even 6 Titans sometimes that appear. And then periodically you can go through and repeat the process of clearing out the Titans that have spawned in other areas. Or you can hang out in Trader Snare. You've got a pretty good chance to get multiple here that are going to pop up all the time. Beyond that, there are Titans on the other planets for the most part. Usually they're in like the first or the last area, and most planets has a Titan. They're for the most part fixed, but if you're specifically hunting Titans, the Moon is the best place to go until you get to the astral plane where all monsters become Titans. All right, next tip, don't worry about dying. It really doesn't have a big impact. How do I know this? Well, I'm gonna show you a specific hero that has died a lot. My hard mode, Kratos only hero, I ran this hero before some of the specialized bikes and Borgen that give experience. It took a long time. This hero, if I look at my PvE, has 2,810 deaths. Let's look at this power over time. Now the only thing that impacts your power with this hero ultimately is your Kratos and your level multiplier on it. And you see I get my level ups here. and then it goes pretty flat for a long time, and then you see this little dip here in power. That equates for what, maybe 5, 10, maybe 20 power at most. That's thousands of deaths, right? This is a hero where we're talking about a power level. I clicked on the wrong thing there. I forgot I didn't have that hero selected. Let me come back here. The power level on this hero is relatively low. You know, we're talking like 200 range. Whereas most of my heroes, if I come back to my profile, all right, my God Tier hero is a bit of an anomaly, but a lot of these heroes, you know, you're looking anywhere from 10k power to 30k power, 16k power in these range. You know, 20 or 50 power, you're not gonna notice that big of a difference. So don't worry about dying. All right, last tip, do your dailies. You get to there from just going home. You can find these at Acropolis, or even when we were patrolling, just go home and you'll see your daily rewards here. They're gonna give you simple tasks to do: complete battles, open chests, break shields, dismantle gear, decode gear, complete bounties. Depending on how many they have you do, there'll be different AC rewards from 1 up to, there's very rare ones that give 5. There's also a daily reward for getting Avenges. Avenges when you kill a mob that has killed somebody else. If you can't find any, die somewhere, put on crappy gear and die, and then hang out and wait, and that monster will eventually spawn back. You'll see it in red. But getting these gives you a small amount of AC daily, plus once you have certain progress points met throughout the month, now this has to be within the month, they reset every month, you get large chunks. So for 3 days you get 25 AC, 7 days is 75 AC, 14 is 200 AC, and 28 days, or almost every day of the month, gives you 500 AC. These are decent chunks that slowly add up throughout the day and are a nice supplement to the AC you're normally going to pick up just from fighting monsters. So do your dailies. All right, that's it. That's my 10 tips for new players. As always, if you feel lost or stuck, ask in chat or check the wiki. There is tons of information there. Thanks for watching.